It's a quest. It's a quest for fun.
Well, The Rock says, why don't we just cut right to the chase?
Okay, now he wants to get together. Well, he wants to talk.
I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me.
It's showtime, folks!
What are you?
Season's greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Ryan of Neuroculture. This is our interview series, and joining us this week is host, podcaster, producer extraordinaire. He is the host of Daydreams with Dylan. He is, well, coincidentally enough, his name is Dylan. Hey, Dylan, welcome to the show. How are you?
Doing fantastic. I just want to say that intro was bomb.
It was great, wasn't it? And that was designed and put together by an incredible person by the name of Josh Bauer of J Bauer Art. He is an artist and graphic designer. So if you're looking for an intro or some graphic design work for your podcast or for other projects that you are in the process of working on, hit him up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at J Bauer Art. He'll be more than happy to speak with you. So Josh, thank you very much, good sir. We appreciate it. So, and by the way, just to let our audience know, if you're watching this live and you got questions for our guest, Dylan, we're going to save some time at the end of the show to take your questions. So feel free to drop them in the live chat. We're going to be monitoring that as we go throughout tonight's show. Keep that in mind. Other than that, we're going to jump right into this thing. So, Dylan, first things first, who were some of your favorite celebrities, personalities, people who interview other people growing up?
To be honest, the reason why I started the podcast series, and this is going to sound a little cliche, is because of Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan's podcast. It's fantastic. He has guests from all over. He just conversates with people, man. That's probably the best part about having a podcast is we kind of take the approach to where we have a bunch of different guests from all over different niches. So we've had people that talk about like movie series, like yourself included, and then anywhere from that to like political conversations. So, I mean, we've gone all over the spectrum, and that's kind of what I liked. I liked creating that community. So.
And kind of going with that, with the whole Joe Rogan situation, when did you decide to become a podcaster? Was it on a certain day? Was it at a certain age? Was it a certain moment? What was the aha moment for you that said, oh, I need to be a podcaster?
Okay. So funny story. I was in college actually for a while there.
Hey, a lot of people go to college for 7 years.
I did my victory rap.
I know, they're called doctors. Sorry, that's a movie quote, probably from a movie you've never seen before. But anyway, continue.
It started probably freshman year of college. I actually hadn't started watching Joe Rogan yet or anything like that. I hadn't actually gotten into podcasts, but I was like, I kind of want to start like a YouTube channel or a YouTube series where we just talk to people. And at the time, I didn't really know what podcasts were. It wasn't very familiar. So it was kind of in the dawn stages of podcasting. So, as time went on, I was like, yeah, is this something I really wanted to do? And then, once I graduated college, I really needed something to do. I really needed something to kind of think about, really kind of something to engage with. And then it just kind of clicked one day. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm not doing anything. Might as well just start talking to random people. And honestly, I met some really cool people through it. People I've never would have connected with, like yourself included, man. Yes. Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We had a really good episode.
Yeah, you're welcome for your ratings that on that night when I was guesting on your podcast to skyrocket, and millions of people were tuning in and throwing me some positive comments as well as throwing shade at me. So that's always fun when you get the comments section lit on fire with pitchforks and torches coming at you for certain comments that maybe...
Well, you did say some contentious things about some very important series that were dear to people's hearts.
Robert, yeah, that was fun that night, wasn't it? But yeah, no, I completely understand where you're coming from. So moving forward, when you put the podcast together, you're doing your thing. What would you say are some of the rewards of being a podcaster?
Dude, meeting people, 100% meeting people. And actually, it's the intellectual conversations behind it. Because sometimes you don't always sit there and think about, some of the political things that are going on. We don't have to talk about that right now, but, we've talked a lot about philosophy. We've talked about psychology. I mean, hint, I'm a psych major. So we've gone down those routes, and it's allowed me to kind of develop thoughts even further with other people that have had different experiences as I have. And it's just been a really weird journey. Like I said, I've met so many people that I probably never would have connected with because they were so far out of my league. And it was just because I was like, hey, dude, I have a podcast. Can you please come on? I would love for you to come on, talk to my audience. And we've had some really cool people. One guy, if you ever heard of him, his name is Dan Thurman. He's a really cool guy. If any of your chat knows Dan Thurman, he's a motivational speaker. He actually juggles for a living. And what he uses juggling as an analogy to balance yourself and balance your life. And it was a really great conversation. And that was probably the most nerve-wracking conversation I had. And now that I go back and look at the podcast, I'm like, oh man, I wish I was a little bit more loose and not so tense. You know, just a little bit more relaxed. Cause I guess I had to realize that over the years, over the course of doing the podcast, is to not take it so seriously. For at least for me, that's what works. So that works a little bit better for me. No,
sure, absolutely. I can certainly understand that to a degree. Now, on the other side of that, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges of being a podcaster?
All the work that goes in after and before the podcast, definitely. And what I mean by that is a lot of people see the podcast and they see the final result. They see this. They see us talking to each other. And they're like, oh, that looks easy. I could do that. And it's like, yeah, you could. Yeah, you could do that. But you got to realize there's a lot of work before, like setting up the interviews. You got to make sure all your overlays are correct. You got to have the right software. You have to have the right systems in place. Make sure dealing with any crashes. That's happened a lot. That's happened quite a few times. We've had crashes midstream. And afterwards, I mean, for myself, I'm a lone artist. I'm a lone wolf with this whole enterprise.
Yeah.
So it's me like getting the guest, me producing the podcast, and me trying to find clips and edit the videos. And that's another hard part is promoting it. Is because you got to edit the videos down to like bite-sized information for people to process. Because nobody wants to watch my hour-long podcast if they don't know me, they don't know what we want or we talk about. No one's gonna why would they waste their time on me, you know? So I try to figure out what's the best way I can get them engaged with the podcast. And I figured the best way I could do that is by creating this bite-sized little clips that I could post on Instagram. And then I can upload that. People can, like, follow. We've gotten some traction, but not a lot from Instagram. So I think I'm going to switch up the platform a little bit. But yeah, it's all the work that comes in before and after. That's pretty much the hard part, at least for me.
Yeah, an army of one. I respect and admire that.
Yeah.
So I definitely can understand where you're coming from. Now, are there any special memories from your show thus far, or meeting other people at events outside of your podcast?
I don't really meet people outside of the podcast because everybody's from all over. And, halfway through the podcast, the start of it, I mean, boom, world shuts down. So can't really go meet anybody. So, I mean, I've always been a gamer. So communicating through the digital medium has never been a problem for me. So, making those connections and having those memorable moments where, stream or chat just comes in and they're just being wild. We'll try and talk about, we were trying to have a serious conversation one day. I don't remember what about, but the chat just wanted to talk about dogs. I was like, well, okay, guess we're talking about dogs today, guys. So everybody just sent in their dog photos and we're like, all right, well, this is a cute one. Rate this out of 1 to 10. It's like, okay. So, I mean, it's a whole host of things, man. Whole host of things. What about yourself, though? Do you have any memorable moments?
I mean, well, just to, what is it? What am I trying to say here? On the other side of things, for me anyway, I've interviewed a number of people through this podcast that I otherwise never would have had a chance to interview. It's because I think one of the biggest things when you do a podcast is the amount of connections that you have. Yeah. If you have connections and they can connect you with somebody who's connected to that actor or producer or whatever you're trying to interview, that's great. So because I'm able to interview all these people, I have connections and I'm happy about that. I'm glad I have those because otherwise, if it weren't for, and I'll give these people a shout out because they deserve it, Hanging with Web Show Web TV is a group of people that it's a group of people who have podcasts, but they're all under this umbrella, but they get to distribute their content to more and more people because of the resources that we have at HWWS Web TV. And because I'm working with them and we've collaborated with them on a number of occasions already, we just joined the family a few months ago. It wasn't that long ago. And it's because of those connections that I've been able to have special guests on my podcast and interview people from writers to actors to producers to comic book writers and artists and illustrators. And I'm thinking to myself, I never thought in a million years that would even be possible. And I'm happy that it's happened. And I'm going to continue to be thankful for the people who come on my show or the people who come on your show. I'm sure you're thankful for every person who comes through the virtual door of Daydreams with Dylan. So you got to be thankful for that stuff. And plus, it's the holiday season. We have many reasons to be thankful.
So can I ask a question then?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
So who's the coolest person you've interviewed? Hey, your opinion.
Yeah, oh my goodness, that's hard. That's rough. That's a rough question. Well, I don't want to. Let's see. I've interviewed
so many out. You don't want to make anybody feel bad.
I don't want to necessarily pick favorites because it's just fun to interview people in general because you get to know them. You know, you sit down with them, you just have a conversation, and it's awesome. But if I had to pick some of my favorite moments, I would say Doug Stone, who's a voiceover actor. He was the voice of one of the main characters on Mask, a very big, popular animated series from the 1980s. That was a big deal. That was a huge get. I'm very thankful to have that interview with Doug Stone. He was a wonderful guy. Let's see some other people. Mary Fan, who's a YA sci-fi fantasy writer. She's great. I've met her at conventions, but I actually got the chance to interview her on my podcast because of me meeting her and following her on social media. It's fantastic. She was great. Let's see man. There's so many people. It's like thanking the Academy.
That's a really good idea. I need to do that. Dude, I love going to cons, but I really need to advertise at a con and just go, that's a good place, bro.
It is.
I need to go to a con and just, some of the artists that set up outside, just just go ask, man. Just create business cards like, hey, come on, Daydreams, man. Come on.
Yeah,
come on.
we've gotten B-roll and covered some conventions as Nerd Culture, and we've gotten interviews with cosplayers and artists, people at their booths, who are selling their stuff, and it's great to talk with them and stuff like that. But yeah, those are just granted. I would have to sit down and look at all the interviews I've had in the last I don't know 9 or 10 months because it's been a long year. So, but those are some of the highlights that stand out for me now. But I look forward to having more interviews as the podcast progresses, and as Nerd Culture continues to evolve and grow and all that kind of jazz. I mean, we got over 300 subscribers on our YouTube channel, so thank you to the viewers and people who have been liking, sharing our videos. We really appreciate that from the bottom of our hearts, certainly. But yeah, man, being a podcaster is fun, and once you get a chance, once Earth reopens, definitely go to conventions. Talk to people, meet with them, talk with them, hand out your business card. The best thing you can do is keep plugging your stuff as much as possible. Absolutely. That is the thing that you get your name out there. The more you plug, the more shows that you appear on, the more people you collaborate with, they're going to go to bat for you. Just keep that in mind as you go along.
No, I appreciate that. I mean, that's partially why I joined the VOD Squad or the VODdex group on Facebook.
Oh, yes. Poddex.
Yeah, Poddex. Sorry, I think the main guy's podcast is called VODdex. But
podcast therapy, but yeah.
Yes.
With Travis. Yeah.
Yes. And he's a cool guy, and I've met a lot of cool
people.
Oh
my goodness.
Oh my gosh, setting up that community has been an amazing enterprise. Social networking.
Just to give the audience here a peek behind the curtain, this is how Dylan and I met, is because of that Facebook group. You never know what's going to happen, and you never know who you're going to meet and collaborate with. And that's one of the best things about podcasting. It's a community. It really is.
Absolutely.
Try to keep that in mind as for those of you who are watching us at home, and if you're interested in becoming a podcaster, connections, collaborating with people, it counts.
Absolutely. That's the best part. Because I've had a lot of my audience members just reach out to me and they're like, hey, can you interview this guy? I was like, yeah, sure. Let's get him on. I mean, doesn't matter who it is anymore, because at the end of the day, what our goal is to create a community of people that can collaborate on different ideas and just want to kind of grow a community of people that have diverse ideas. I know I just kind of said that the same way, but differently. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of our goal.
Absolutely. And we look forward to seeing what comes next for your respective podcast and my respective podcast.
Absolutely. So, hey, we're going up there, bro. We're going to get 1 million views in less than a month, you know? Just put it out there into the universe, man.
As they say, the numbers are climbing. Numbers
Absolutely.
are climbing. So let's try to keep positive. Keep your fingers crossed. So the next question we have for you here, Dylan, as we try to get back on topic, even though we're having too much fun here, because it's Friday, we ain't got no job, and we ain't got nothing to do. So I say, there's your movie. There's another movie line for you kids at home. If you remember the '90s, it was kind of a big deal. But anyway, so here's a question for you, Dylan. Okay. What are your plans for your podcast moving forward into 2021 and beyond?
I haven't really given too much thought about the future because I kind of like the rate we're growing. Mm-hmm. It's given me some time to kind of collect myself. And at the beginning of the podcast journey, I've gone back and watched a lot of interviews and a lot of episodes that I did. And I was like, dude, I could not talk. Like, I'm reading chat like backwards. I might as well just flip my monitor upside down. I would ask, it felt so stiff. It really did. It felt stiff. It felt as though I was just trying to robotically talk, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it makes sense.
It got to the point to where I was like, all right, well, I need to really figure out how I want to do this moving forward. And so I started, and like I said, I had that one big interview with Dan Thurman, and that I put a lot of pressure on myself with that one. And I feel like when I went back and watched the interview, everybody was like, oh yeah, it's good. I'm like, that's what you're supposed to say, and it helped me go back and look at the things I needed to do better in terms of speaking, in terms of communicating and engaging. And so I've kind of liked our growth progress for the past year because it's giving me that time to kind of learn and collect myself. But moving into 2021, I think that I'd like to kind of take that to the next level. And so I'm always looking for a video editor. So if anybody knows anybody, let me know. But I've just been working on our YouTube channel to try and promote, like I said, the small clips in hopes that we'll hit the algorithm one day and get that one clip that's going to make us viral and, take off from there. So just really trying to grow this thing organically while learning as much as I can about who I am and what I want to talk about and, what the audience wants to talk about and the community that we're going to develop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The year is coming to a close. 2020 is going to be over in less than a few weeks. And at the end of the year, I think something that myself and I think other podcasters are going to do, we're going to do a reflection on what worked for us this year, maybe some things that didn't, and what we can do to improve ourselves in 2021 moving forward. And this brings me to something I did earlier this year. I went back and listened to some of my older episodes of a podcast. It was a different iteration of the podcast. I was working with two good friends of mine who I'm still friends with to this day. We were in high school together, and we did a podcast, and I'm listening back to our previous episodes, and I'm thinking, man, we were so green back then. We were just doing it because we loved it, but we were just kind of like winging it a little bit. Like we had notes, don't get me wrong. We had show notes, but we were kind of like, we were young bucks. We were just trying to figure things out. We were just rolling along with it. But now that everything that I've done up to this point, and I look at myself now and everything that we've been doing at Neuroculture with our YouTube channel and our podcast and everything we're trying to do, it's like, man, I've definitely, to me anyway, this is like a personal introspective. I've grown a lot in my skills as a podcaster, in my skills as a public speaker and all that kind of jazz. And when you look back on that stuff and you see where you are now compared to where you were then, it's amazing. It's amazing when you look back and see the stuff that you did right or wrong, and then you look at yourself now and you're thinking, man, I'm doing so much better now than I did 10 years ago, man. Because my goodness, I was just a little green kid who was just trying to keep his head above water. But man, it was fun back then. But nowadays, it's like so much more stuff, and it's electrifying, and it's awesome.
I mean, I'm a naturally weird guy. So
hey, dude, you're preaching to the choir here. We're both weird.
Listen, like
listen to me, man. No, go ahead.
At the beginning of the podcast, I was I was weird. And it was me trying to find myself. And that's not a bad thing. I'm not saying that being weird.
You were trying to find your voice as a podcaster.
Right. It wasn't that it was a bad thing, or I'm not criticizing where I came from. Very humble beginnings. In fact, it's just to see where you've grown and where, you could potentially go. I feel like that kind of keeps me motivated. Now, there have been times where I haven't been motivated as much as I should have, because then you're like, I start, at least for me, being the lone wolf that I am. I'm like, dude, all right, well, this is a lot of effort. And then, to have a live stream that some people don't show up to, and then the channel numbers are starting to decline. I was like, oh my goodness, dude, is this worth the effort? Is this worth it? And then it's kind of like a wave that you have to wait out, because I work past that and I'm like, all right, no, we chose to do this. We chose to start this. I have people that if I chose to quit, they'd be like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? Like, are you okay? Like, are you okay? You're not doing the podcast anymore. Is something wrong? And so I try to wait those bouts of demotivation out, because sometimes it's out of my control, right? People have things to do, and I don't, everybody has a real life outside of the podcast, and I completely get that. And I tell everybody when they come, life comes first. So, I mean, if you have something to do, I'm not going to take offense if you don't show up. I get that completely. And, for me, it's just keeping on that train and trying to keep myself motivated while not quitting sometimes. And like I said, I have a great support group that's like, dude, the content that you put out is like fantastic, because, again, we've talked to people all over the spectrum. I mean, not to do a Debbie Downer, but we talked about suicide prevention. We've talked about advocating for autism and stuff like that. We've talked about anywhere from that stuff to nerd culture to video games. So it's a little bit of content for everybody. So
yeah, no, I gotcha. Completely gotcha on that one. And by the way, if anyone has any questions for our guest Dylan, we're going to save some time at the end of the show to take your questions. So feel free to drop them in the live chat. We're going to be monitoring that as we go throughout the course of tonight's show.
Perfect.
So Dylan, to kind of change things up a little bit here, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
One food?
Yeah. Anything.
I don't know. I'm not a food guy.
What? Are you not human? Are you a cyborg or something?
No. It's not like that. I'm not like super like really into food like that. If I had to say, it'd probably be crab legs. Do
crab legs.
Yeah, I love crab legs.
Crab legs.
Love me some crab legs.
Crab legs. Have you ever dipped crab legs in Old Bay seasoning?
Probably not.
You should check it out, man.
I probably should.
Old Bay is pretty good for the crabs.
Hope we're talking about the same crabs here, man.
Yeah, man. Hey, whatever kind of crabs or seafood you like, everything, right. every kind of seafood goes better when you have Old Bay seasoning. And if you don't believe me, just Google it, because Old Bay it's a big deal.
Old Bay is Bay. You know what I'm saying?
Well, something like that. Wow, that went off the rails.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, if you ever get a chance, check out Old Bay. It's on our good friends at Google. Check it out.
Okay.
All right, so crab legs. I have not heard that one before, but hey, we're all for creative and original answers on the show. We love it. So how about this one? Who or where would you haunt if you were a ghost?
Oh, who or where I would haunt?
If you were a ghost, what would you do?
Dang, you're asking me questions I've never thought about before. I'd haunt the beach. Screw it. I'd haunt the beach. Why not? Dude, I have the beach. And if I don't like little kids,
scare them off.
Yeah, scare them off. Exactly. Just kick some sand up and be like, what the heck was that?
Who needs the metal detector when you're the ghost?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I could plant some stuff there, and like anybody searching for stuff, I could plant stuff there, just trick them, keep them on a wild goose chase, do some footprints in the sand, make them really freak out.
Yeah,
I don't
that
know.
would certainly.
We're just going off the dome here, man.
No, it's cool. No, that's hey. These questions are meant to keep you on your toes, so we're doing a good job of that. How about this one? Would you rather be the best player on a horrible team or the worst player on a great team?
Worst player on a great team. Yeah, I'd go with that. Worst player on a great team.
All right. If you were going to pick a sports team, which one would you pick?
Sports team. Oh gosh, man, I'm not a sports guy.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not a big sports guy either, but I just thought I'd throw the question out there. What do you think?
Well, if I was choosing the best player on the worst team, I'd go the Falcons.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're trash, and I root for the Falcons every year because I'm an Atlanta boy, and they disappoint every time. Every time. Yes, every time. But if I was
every time in hot Atlanta, they disappoint you.
We're always so good up until the second half, and then we're done. But if I was the best player, or if I was the worst player on the best team, I'd go with tennis, because then
really
I'm the best.
Win a couple. What am I trying to say here? U.S. Opens, or not U.S. Open, but like the tennis tournaments, whatever the big Wimbledon.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because if I was that, it's only one other person that they have to compensate for. So if I did doubles, it's only one other person they have to compensate for. So if my partner's really, really good, then I don't really have to do anything. You know what I mean? All
right. Roll with that, man. Roll with that. So how about this one? Would you rather go 30 days without your cell phone or your entire life without dessert?
Entire life without dessert.
Oh, that was fast.
Yeah.
Didn't even need to think about it, huh?
No, I don't really eat dessert too much right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you watching your figure? Or?
Yeah. Just trying to cut calories. You know what I mean? Well, I started weaning off sugar there for a while, and now anytime I eat something sweet, it's like, man, that's too sweet. Sweet tea, though, I have to dilute sweet tea because it's too sweet most of the time.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I throw in like a little bit of unsweet, throw some water, keep it nice, keep it good.
All right.
What about
I
you?
can understand that. No, I can understand that point of view.
What about you, though?
What are you asking? Cell phone or dessert? I would rather go the rest of my life without dessert than go without my cell phone. Dude, our cell phones are like our life.
Exactly.
It's like if our cell phone goes off and we miss that call from that all-important celebrity or the love of our lives, it's like, dude, we just missed a call from, it could be our wife, it could be somebody else, it could be a family member we haven't talked to in a while. It's like,
I will
dude, that's
say,
not good.
Back in December, last December, I went like 2 weeks without a cell phone because I had to mine broke, and so I had to ship it. And they took 2 weeks to send me the next one back.
Dude.
Actually, it was kind of liberating.
Was it?
Yeah, it was more liberating than you think. Yeah, because I mean, you always have a computer if you want to really go chat with somebody. You have emails, you have Facebook. I mean, so you have different routes. I mean,
yeah,
that's
a good point.
I could do that.
Cell phone. So without a cell phone for 2 weeks, I don't know if some of my best friends could go 2 weeks without a cell phone.
For the first 2 days, it was a little weird because you're like trying to figure out how to communicate with people. like you don't know language or how to speak. So then you're like, all right, well, let me figure this out. And so you decide, all right, listen, all right, I'm going to go ahead and just hop on Facebook. This is how you can contact me. If you need me here, hit me up. Mm-hmm. And then you have other people. Like I had my wife, and my wife had a cell phone. So if anybody needed to contact me, they could just call my wife. So, I mean, she was the middleman.
Okay. The middle person.
Yeah. The middle woman.
Yeah. If we say middle. Yes. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Oh, my goodness. There are so many would you rathers here. Would you rather have unlimited sushi for life or unlimited tacos for life?
Sushi.
Always sushi, huh?
Always sushi. Always sushi. Easy.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm taco.
You're not a taco guy?
No, I can have a taco.
You're not one of those guys who goes to Taco Bell 2 a.m?
No, absolutely not. Mm-mm.
No?
Taco Bell is not my speed.
Not your speed, is it?
Nah, not it.
Okay. What's the first place you go to get the best taco in town?
I don't get tacos. I just don't. I mean, like, if you had to ask, I mean, I'd probably go to Chipotle if I wanted a taco.
What about sushi? Where do you go?
JP Sushi. It's a great place out in Roswell. Georgia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, if you guys ever visit Georgia, go to Roswell. It's a great place. Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Nice,
So
man.
good. And you can't really mess sushi up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's sort of kind of true, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, as long as you got the rice and then you got the seaweed wrap, I mean, and you can put whatever meat on top of it.
Yeah,
Don't really mess it up.
that's true. What's your worst roommate or house guest story?
Okay, so we had a party a couple years ago.
Sure.
So I work at a camp for special needs kids over the summer, and we had so this isn't like a direct roommate, but we had a party at our apartment complex, and somebody invited this random kid over, and I had no idea who this kid was, and he brought a hookah thing. He brought like a hookah, like the whole setup. I'm talking like the whole setup.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And I'm like, okay, that's not really illegal. So yeah, I guess go ahead and bring it in. So he brings it in, and I kid you not, this dude literally 5 minutes later, the coil drops on the floor, like the red hot coal on the top drops on the floor and burns a hole in the floor. And man, we had to pay for that. I was so mad.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It's no fun, is it?
No bueno.
Absolutely not. So how about this? Any upcoming projects you can tell us about?
I mean, just stay tuned. Stay tuned. That's it. I mean, I don't really have anything big planned right now. I mean, we're going to be doing a lot of stuff with the YouTube channel coming here soon. Trying to diversify it a little bit, trying to figure out how we can get in the algorithm a little bit better. But other than that, yeah, we're going to have some great, we're doing a brief hiatus coming up here for the holiday season because I'll be down in Florida and I won't have any of my equipment. And so when we get back in 2021, I hope to just have a great line of guests lined up and everything like that. Hopefully just take it from there.
All right. Well, we want to take this opportunity to thank Dylan, the host of Daydreams with Dylan, for coming in today, for being on our show. We really appreciate it. But before we go, Dylan, where can the good people of the interwebs find you online and everything you have coming up?
Yeah, absolutely. You can go check me out on YouTube, Daydreams with Dylan. Your quick Google search should pull it up too. Google is always our friend. Yeah, so you can just find us on YouTube, Daydreams with Dylan. That's pretty much it.
Fantastic. We want to take this opportunity to thank Dylan for joining us on the show this week. My name is Ryan of Nerd Culture. You can find me and everything we're doing here on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at It's Nerd Culture. And we have new videos dropping each and every week on our channel, so don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff. And as far as the whole would you rather or what was your worst roommate story kind of situation, I'll tell you where those questions came from. This episode is powered by Poddex. Poddex are the hottest new tool for podcasters looking to have more meaningful conversations or just gamify their podcast. Simply shuffle up, ask a question, let the content roll. Get yours today at poddex.com. Make sure you use the promo code NerdCulture to get 10% off your order. I guarantee you will not be disappointed. But in the meantime, stay healthy, stay safe, stay strong, and happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.